Organizers of the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards have ravished claims expatriates who attended the award ceremony parted with huge sums of money to secure a seat next to President Akufo-Addo. The minority in Parliament has been pushing for a probe into the entire episode, which they say saw some of the expats paying as much as $100,000. Trade Minister Alan Chairmanting, whose ministry played a key role in the award ceremony, has since been summoned to the Flagstaff House to brief the president on the matter. But the Millennium Excellence Foundation, organizers of the awards, on Wednesday addressed a news conference where its president, Ashim Morton, denied the minority's extortion claims.
In our industry, it is common practice to offer different seating categories based on the levels of sponsorship or support that one gives. Over the past 20 years, the foundation has organized several programs where categories of seating ranges from platinum, gold, silver, diamond, bronze, etc., etc. Indeed, sometimes we label our seating categories such as the governor's circle, ministerial section, presidential circle. We recently attended an international event where premium seating was labeled as the honorary circle. And at the honorary circle, we have very important personalities seated there. In the design for the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, we did not do anything different as we always do. We labeled our seating categories red circle, yellow circle, green circle, black circle, and presidential circle, again based on the level of partnership. It is good to inform the media that we also had a President's Gold table. For the avoidance of doubts, the President's Gold table for the Ghana Expat Business Awards was reserved seating for persons carefully selected by the Foundation and the Ministry of Trade at our own discretion. Such persons could be expatriates who have contributed enormously in our development and not necessarily whether they sponsored or would win a prize. On that table, we also had invited distinguished Ghanaians to sit on that table. Nowhere in our literature did we say specifically or categorically that the President's table was designated for the President of the Republic of Ghana. I, Ashim Morton, I am the President of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, and that center seat on that high President's table was designated for me and not the President of the Republic of Ghana. When confirmation was given to us that the President was attending our event, I relinquished my seat for the President. It is true that any company that paid $100,000 would have one representative from their company to sit on the President's Gold table. I am here today to officially inform the general public and our well-wishers that no one seated on this President's Gold table that evening paid $100,000 before the event. So that should clear the air. No one paid $100,000 to sit on that table. I'm here also to inform you that out of the 18 people who sat on that table, not one person paid $100,000 to sit on that table. And I see my good friend, Salem Kalmoni from Japan Motors. He did not pay $1 or 1 cedi. But we know what the Kalmonis have done ever since. When I was growing up, I knew about Japan Motors. I knew what Said Fakri from Interplus had done for Ghana. I know what Anil Mohinani had done for Ghana. All those companies did not pay $1 or 1 cedi. And if you have any doubts, please ask Mr. Kalmoni or any of our persons who sat on that table if they paid $100,000 to sit on that table.
Now, another issue that has become topical is whether government retained any of the proceeds from the event. Deputy Trades Minister Carlos Ahinkra told Joy FM's Top Story on Tuesday the ministry only collected monies meant for the event on behalf of the organizers and that the funds have since been paid to the Millennium Excellence Foundation. In fact, he indicated that all the funds have been paid to the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Ashim Morton, however, told the news conference the ministry was to retain a portion of the money.
Indeed, nobody was told to pay $100,000 to sit next to the president. We only found out that the president was coming to that event on the day that he returned from Kumasi. And I had to relinquish my seat. Said Fakri sat next to the president of the Republic of Ghana on that day. He was supposed to sit next to me. I've known Said Fakri for the past 20 years. He has supported my initiatives. He has done a lot for Ghana. He has created the enabling environment for thousands of Ghanaians to work. It was my choice why Said Fakri should sit next to me. So that is why he sat on that table. And Said Fakri did not pay $100,000 before that event. If he decided to support the foundation later on because of the world-class event that we organized that evening, that was his prerogative. But he did not pay $1 before that event. So this should clarify the issues. And I've read somewhere on the social media that Said Fakri paid $100,000 to be seated next to the president. I would want to carefully inform our general public and well-wishers that the office of the president cannot be toyed with. You cannot come out and say that people paid money to sit next to me. You cannot do that. You need to have the facts before you speak. This sponsorship package was designed by the foundation and not by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And if you look at the part that says $100,000, it says that any company that pays $100,000 will have one of their representatives to come and sit on that table. I am here to tell you all that nobody paid $100,000 to sit on that table that evening. So if that should clarify the air about that, that is it. What I know is that some funds were released to the foundation to organize the expatriate awards. And thereafter, some additional funds were given to us for post-events. I don't know whether those funds were complete. What I also know is that a portion of the funds that were raised by the foundation would be retained by the Ministry of Trade and Industry for further initiatives under the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards. We raised money not to burden the taxpayer of this country. These were monies raised from ordinary citizens of this country or expatriates who believed in the cause of the initiative. And so it is true that some monies have been received to organize the event and post-event activities and so on. And we're still making some payments, but I'm not sure whether everything has been paid. We will release that information to you when we get that information. So.
All right, so that was the president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation there speaking at the news conference. Let's listen to the Deputy Trades Minister now, Carlos Ahinkra, as he spoke on Joy FM's Top Story. That was on Tuesday, and he indicated the monies collected monies meant for, the only collected monies meant for the event on behalf of the organizers, and that the funds have since been paid to the Millennium Excellence Foundation.
Well, for your information, that is what the Memorandum of Understanding said.
That what?
That the collections be made to the Ministry of Trade account so that they pick it from there and go.
Okay, so have you given them the monies now? The monies you collected on your behalf?
It's long gone.
You've given them all the monies you collected?
I can confirm to you that they have collected all the money.
Every single 100% of the money? And the Trade Ministry did not reserve or keep any of that amount?
They have collected all.
All right, so with that out of the way, there's one other issue. One of the expatriates who sat close to the president, he has denied paying for his seat.
There are other awards, there are so many awards out there. And even you could always, by knowing who got awarded, know, geez, why did this person win it? I don't think he deserved it. And you could see that there's something under, there's some politics or this. In this case, just by analyzing who got the award, I think most people would agree that they were deserving.
Did you make any donations before or after the program?
I did not make absolutely no donations, nothing before and nothing after.
So you simply were selected to sit on that seat?
Exactly.
So you didn't make any contributions at all?
I did not make any contributions at all. Okay.
What
happened though, to set the record straight, after we were selected, okay, for this, and I had my invitation and a seat on the table, I thought, I'm there alone. I wanted to celebrate this event and bring, some of my directors, my wife, to be along. So I did purchase, and for that, you had to pay for a table. And I chose voluntarily to enjoy. You wanted to enjoy something with your family and with your directors here. It's certainly not. It's certainly not. Okay, I'll tell you. It was a table of 5. You could see a table of 5 how much it cost there on the sheet there, and it was a fraction of it. It was a fraction for it, and it was for them coming in. It was after the fact because I wanted to celebrate this honor, with my directors and shareholders.
Now, the minority chief whip in Parliament and MP for Aswati Munta Kat Mubarak wants Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahinkra hauled before the Privileges Committee of Parliament for verbally abusing a colleague. Mr. Ahinkra on Tuesday disrupted an interview being granted some journalists right outside the parliamentary chamber by North Tong MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa on the minority's extortion claims against the trade minister and called him a liar whilst pointing his finger in his face.
Let him know that he's a thief. You have stolen through your life, and you have even lied through your education. Minister, please now listen to me. Where is the document?
Now, Muntaka Mubarak says the Deputy Trade Minister would have to be sanctioned for his conduct.
The House has more than adequate provisions to deal with indisciplined behaviors, and obviously we are going to exploit that. But I spoke to my colleague, Honorable Ablakwa, this morning. We are doing our work. We should not allow emotions to run over us. Let's deal with the issues. The issue about the Indiscipline Act, the insult and other things, outstanding orders about privileges, about members' misbehavior and other things, there's a way to deal with it. So we'll use that vehicle to deal with that because he was attacking a member of parliament.
So that will happen.
So that one will happen separately.
Okay.
What he did, if Ablakwa had decided to react the way he did, maybe we'll have seen suits torn and it could have escalated into something else, which I commend him because the voice were there. Many stations are playing it, so it's beyond doubt that it did happen. So we will have to deal with that using the appropriate vehicle.
Well, still on this issue, the Minister for Trade, Alan Kyerematen, has been directed by the Flagstaff House to explain how his ministry facilitated collection of $100,000 from some expatriate businessmen and women. According to Director of Communications at the Flagstaff House, Eugene Ahin, the Trade Minister has up to 5 p.m. Wednesday, December 20, to brief the President on the issue.
The President had no idea whatsoever that a certain amount of money was being charged by anybody for people to sit by him. So the President has directed the Minister for Trade and Industry to, by 5 o'clock this evening, to furnish him with entire details of everything surrounding this particular issue. And once that detailed response comes in, the President will make a final decision on that matter.
Now, we have been trying to reach Eugene Ahin to find out if the Trade Minister has complied with the presidential directive. We have as yet been unable to reach him. When we do, we will bring you that update. But right now, we're taking a break here on Joy News Prime. Still ahead in the bulletin, a 4th suspect has been arrested in the Bantama sexual assault case. Now, 3 of his accomplices were presented before court for a second time today. We have that story coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, a fourth suspect in the sexual assault or the sexual assault of a young female at Bantama in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, is said to have turned himself in to the police. We'll be bringing you details on that when we're joined in a bit by correspondent Oheming Teria, who's following this story. But the plea of three teenagers captured in that video, gang raping the lady at Bantama in Kumasi, is yet to be taken despite appearing twice before the Asukwa District Court. This means their counsel cannot apply for bail for them as they were remanded into prison custody for the second time in 2 days. Oheming Teria was in court for Joy News.
4 other accomplices involved in the alleged crime are still on the run. Unlike their first appearance on Tuesday, the suspects came to court on Wednesday with a lawyer in the person of John Buama. Prosecution told the court investigations are still ongoing as efforts continue to trace the fugitives. Lawyer Buama says he is unable to ask for bail for his clients until their plea is taken. He also cautioned journalists to be circumspect in their reportage on matters concerning juveniles like his clients.
Most important thing is, in such matters, if you can rather give us chance to educate the masses, as your various media houses will be most grateful with that. Okay. Because the society has to know about the positions of the law concerning juveniles who are in conflict with who are alleged to be in conflict with the law.
I see, but yesterday you were not in court and today you are here. So when you met the judge at the proceedings, what exactly happened?
According to the police, investigation is still ongoing.
And did you call for a bail for them?
Well, but once investigation is ongoing, there's no way you just ask for bail. So why the plea has not been taken? So if plea has not been taken, you can't ask for bail. So we are waiting till we come next week. So please, let's keep hope alive. Let's keep calm. At the final determination of the case, everything will come to light.
According to lawyer John Buama, the plea of his clients are yet to be taken and that they have been remanded to reappear before the court presided by His Worship Peter Obembuahin on December 27th. From Asokwa in Kumasi for Joy News, Oheming Teria reporting.
And Oheming, who has been following the story, he joins me with the very latest that we're getting, that the fourth suspect has been arrested or has turned himself in. Now, Oheming, can you give us details about this young man who's turned himself in?
Thank you, Israel. The fourth suspect, whose name is being withheld, was arrested this afternoon when he turned himself in to the Ashanti Regional Police Command, specifically at the Regional Police Headquarters. He was accompanied by a brother. He's believed to be hiding in Accra before he turned himself in. But don't forget, just yesterday, the Regional Police Command issued a statement saying that they are aware of the whereabouts of the other 4 suspects, and they were doing everything within their power to arrest the 4 suspects. They promised to do so by the close of work yesterday, and also between now and then over the weekend. So it's no surprise that the 4th person has turned himself into the police.
Now, Oheming, do we know what the involvement of this 4th suspect?
According to the snippet of information I have picked from police sources, he was actually captured in the video recording that has gone viral and has been one of the important tools for police investigations. So he was captured in the video in the first place, and he himself has admitted for taking part in that particular act.
As in, was he the one who had pinned down the lady, or he was one of those who attempted to penetrate the lady?
Israel, for now, it's very difficult to say whether he was the one who did exactly what in the video, except to say that he took part in the act and he was also captured in the video. Police has not been forthcoming with information, though I tried to get information from the regional police command. They wouldn't respond to my questions, but I guess we can also speak to the Police Public Relations Directorate at the headquarters in Accra. They will be able to give us more information on this story. But what I do know is that he himself, the suspect, admitted for taking part. And secondly, he was also captured in the video that has gone viral. And he turned himself in to the police in the company of his brother after several days of hiding from the police after taking refuge in Accra.
All right, thank you very much, Ohiming, to bringing us up to speed. In fact, the latest that we're hearing is that the fourth suspect in the Bantama sexual assault case has turned himself in to the police. He did that in the company of his brother. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. And in business news, the Ministry of Energy is assuring LPG marketers implementation of the new cylinder gas recirculation program, which has been quite controversial, will run concurrently with the older system for some time before it is finally phased out. And there's some interesting figures, interesting GDP figures coming through from the Ghana Statistical Service. We'll have all that coming up in Business News. Stay tuned.
Very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Business. Now, Ghana and Burkina Faso have assured of full cooperation in the construction of the main Accra-Ouagadougou rail line. This came up at an expert committee meeting held in Accra today.
This follows President Akufo-Addo's visit to Burkina Faso in May this year, when he proposed the construction of a railway line from Accra to Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou. This, he said, is to improve commerce between the two countries and the rest of the West African sub-region. Speaking at a joint expert committee meeting that was held in Accra today, Transport Minister Joe Gatti assured the commitment and full participation of both countries in the project.
In order to fulfill the vision of our countries, we, the Minister for Railway Development of Ghana and the Minister for Transport, Urban Mobility and Road Safety of Burkina Faso, met in Ouagadougou in May on the sidelines of the meeting between our two presidents and agreed to hold discussions in line with the vision of both countries to develop a rail interconnectivity between Ghana and Burkina Faso. Today's meeting marks the revival of the Joint Expert Committee, which will, among other things, develop a plan of action with timelines. We can be afraid of the unknown and stay in our comfort zone of doing nothing, or we can dare to be different. We can dare to be different from generations before us, so that generations after us will remember that it was in the time of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his brother president from Burkina Faso that the two countries dared to be different.
Minister for Transport, Urban Mobility and Road Safety of Burkina Faso, Suleiman Sulama, agrees that an established railway system between Ghana and its surrounding countries will help boost trade relations.
The number of trucks that move to and from the Tema and Takrady ports shows how Ghana is established economically. Having railway lines connecting Ghana to neighboring countries will help boost our economic relationship.
In attendance were delegates from several ministries from both countries, including the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Environment, as well as stakeholders in the Transport Ministry. A committee is, however, yet to come out with a date for the commencement of construction. The railway line will be from Tema through Paga to the Burkinabe capital, Ouagadougou. For Joy Business News, Karen Dodo reports.
And now to our top story, the Ministry of Energy is assuring LPG marketers that the implementation of the new cylinder gas recirculation program will run concurrently with the older system for some time before it is finally phased out. The introduction of the module has attracted severe criticisms from LPG marketers, many of who believe government is sidelining them in the implementation of the policy. At an encounter with the Marketers Association on Wednesday, Deputy Minister of Energy Mohammed Amin Adam says this would not be the case.
Deputy Minister for Energy in charge of Petroleum, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has reassured that the new gas recirculation model will not put LPG marketers at risk. He gave the assurance when the Ministry of Energy engaged LPG marketers on best ways of successfully implementing the gas recirculation model expected to take off in 2018. The announcement of the new model has attracted grave concerns, especially over the loss of jobs. Speaking after a stakeholders meeting, Dr. Amin Adam assured the recirculation model would not put jobs of LPG marketers at risk.
There is consensus across the table between government and industry players that this new policy has come to stay. It's a good policy. They are not opposed to the policy. What remains outstanding that will ensure the smooth implementation of this policy are some implementation challenges. For instance, they're asking us to reconsider the role defined for them in the value chain. For those of you who have seen the value chain, there is already a role defined for LPG MCs that they will be converted to LPG distribution centers. They have indicated to us that that is not satisfactory, and therefore we need to look at it again. Number two, they are asking us to reconsider the timing for the rollout of the policy. We gave 1 year transition period. They think that 1 year is too short for them to come along and to be able to play their role effectively. And so we need to reconsider that. They've also asked us to pilot the policy and thereby allow for the existing model to go side by side with the new policy, so we can continue to learn our lessons and to improve on our implementation of the new policy.
Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabi Kumi, says LPG marketers are hoping to have successful deliberations with the implementation committee of the recirculation model.
Basically, our beef has been that we wanted an audience with the minister because we thought certain things were not going right at the implementation committee. So we're issuing letters to the ministry which were not being responded to. And that is what really resulted in us getting into the media to at least let Ghanaians understand what is happening. But fortunately, though belated, we had an invitation from the minister on Friday to attend this program, and we were here. And we have discussed a number of issues. The minister has given MPA more powers to address all our concerns. We are getting back onto the implementation committee to once again lay these concerns before the committee with the hope that the committee will be addressing these concerns. But once those things are addressed, we feel we built an industry for the past 30 years. So if there's a new policy coming up, we should not be made worse off.
Government's move to include members of the LPG marketers to the committee is very important. LPG bottling plants will be sited away from congested commercial and population centers and will procure, brand, maintain and fill empty cylinders to be distributed to consumers and households through retail outlets. There is also a consensus that the old distribution model will run concurrently with the new model until a time when the older one is completely phased out.
Now, pickup in crude production from the country's oil fields helped the economy record one of its strongest growth in 3 years. This came to light after the Ghana Statistical Service released the third quarter GDP estimate for this year. George Rafi has more.
The growth recorded for the third quarter of this year is the highest since September 2014. The report showed agri sector's contribution to the economy appears to be picking up with a growth of 10%, whilst industry went up by 16.6%. The economy of the past months have witnessed sustained growth. So what has accounted for this trajectory? That's the question I posed to the acting government statistician, Bawadia.
Mining and quarrying sector grew by about 40.8%. And within that sector, oil and gas actually expanded by 72.2% during the third quarter of 2017. And this was the main cause of the rise in the growth rates that we are observing. We have other areas in industry which also contributed to this increase. We have water and sewage recording a growth rate of about 21.5% and electricity 15.3%. Then manufacturing also grew by about 5.3%, and these significantly affected the growth rate.
Well, one would ask that what is causing this sustained trajectory that we are seeing?
The sustained trajectory is mainly due to expansion in oil and gas production from the 10 and Sankofa fields. Yeah, these have come on stream, and there are significant increases in the production compared to about 3 quarters ago.
When you look at the numbers in terms of quarter-on-quarter growth ending September this year, it went up by 2.5%. Development could have a positive impact on the country's debt-GDP ratio in terms of it improving to a better position.
And finally, sources say the proposed merger of ADB and NIB banks appears to be negatively affecting operations of the two banks. In this Business Desk report, George Rafi examines the extent to which this is impacting on the bank's activities.
Joy Business understands the disclosure has created some uncertainty for the two banks. This is because there isn't any formal communication to the board and management to even spell out how this move would actually be implemented. The move is said to be one of the reasons that forced investment firm Belster Capital to take steps to sell its shares in ADB. A director close to one of these banks have told Joy Business they've had some challenges in opening fresh accounts, especially for retail clients, and even closing new deals, all because of this news about merging ADB and NIB to create a national development bank. However, for some, the consolation for ADB now is that this development hasn't affected the share price, which has gone up by more than 77% to reach 5 Ghana cedis, 64 pesos, after listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Some have argued that it might be good for government to quickly come out with details of this proposed measure to help deal with this uncertainty.
And that's all by way of business tonight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good evening.
Now, Cape Coast South MP Kweku Ricketts Hagan has announced his intention to contest the NDC's flag bearership for the 2020 elections. He says a letter to that effect has been written to his colleagues in the minority and that he is the best person for the position.
I wrote that letter signed by me to my colleagues, members of parliament and the leadership, saying that when the opportunity comes, and by the opportunity I mean when the nominations are open, I have the intention of contesting for the leadership or the flag bearership. The decision to become a leader of your party or to become a president of your country is not a decision that is taken lightly. So you don't just wake up one morning and make an announcement that you are going to run for president or going to run for flag bearership, at least not for me. Why now? Because you don't just get up and say you want to run for president. It's something you need to really think through properly, do some soul searching, some introspection. And that is what I've done in the last year. It's not an interest that I just cultivated just yesterday or the day before. But it's an interest that has been cultivated at least over the last 1 year. But I had to think through it properly, do a proper retrospection as to why we lost the election, and be able to ask questions as to what I think I can do differently for our party in terms of rebuilding the party, repositioning it, and placing the party in a way that will make it win the next election.
Mr. Hagan says he has big dreams to help transform the country's economy and education sectors.
My candidature is not about, contesting against somebody. I am contesting against ideas. I'm contesting against what the future of the NDC must be. I'm contesting against what the future of this country must be. And I have ideas that I believe will advance our party and will advance our country. So it is not a competition with someone, it's a competition of ideas. We are not going to base the next election based on what our records alone. It will be based on what we want to do for the party in the future. As for records, we have got presidents like President Rawlings, President Mahama, who have contributed to this country, and that's what the NDC will base their past record on. But the election for flag bearership and for the presidency in 2020 will not be based on past records. Sure. It will be based on ideas for the future. How we can get jobs for our people, how we can improve the health system, how we can advance the free education and make sure that it works, and many other things that will obviously help get our people out of poverty and improve the economic lives of our people.
But MP for Tamale North, Alassane Suini, says the declaration is unnecessary. He says the focus now should be on party reorganization.
I think it is an unnecessary, enterprise, and I don't think our party needs that now. I am not saying he's not fit to be flag bearer. I'm not saying he's not fit to be president, but I'm saying that it's unnecessary at this point because our party has to get its act together first. Let's look at the re-registration of members that is currently underway. Let's focus on righting the wrongs that led to our defeat in 2016. The solution to the reasons why we lost 2016 does not necessarily lie in who leads the NDC. We need to concentrate on finding why we lost and finding the solution to why we lost. And then any other person we put up, we can all rally around that person. I think these are needless distractions that I encourage party members to ignore and concentrate on the rebuilding and reorganization and reorientation efforts of leading members of the party.
Mr. Egan Harvey says he doesn't think there is anything wrong with his declaration, as others have also declared their intentions already.
Early days for who? For me or for those who announced before me? If you say early days, people have been out there with their intention for over a year now. So if you say early days, I don't know whether you are referring to early days to those presidential aspirants or you are referring to me in particular. At the end of this year, when we enter into the next year, we will be moving into a phase of us having our elections for flag bearership. If you are going to be in such a race, you need at least a year to prepare yourself. So exactly a year from now, the leader, the flag bearer of the NDC will have to come out. So if you're a serious contender, this is not too early. We can continue to rebuild the party. We can continue to reinvigorate the party. We can continue to do all sorts of things to the party. We can take the party from the state that is in now and rehabilitate it, get it to work and get it to run. But it must be done around the leader with a new vision, a new direction, and somebody who wants to bring something new into the party. So I think for me, this is the right time. But of course, nomination is not yet open. So what we are talking about at the moment is more or less consultation, extensive consultation within the party to see whether you stand a chance of winning and whether people share the ideas and the things that you are hoping to
Saying Parliament, the minority is asking President Akufo-Addo to downsize his government, claiming the 2018 budget estimates have revealed duplications in the roles of various ministries. According to Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives is one of such irrelevant ministries. The House on Wednesday approved a 1.2 billion cedis budget for the ministry, but Mr. Idrisu says the ministry should not exist.
You must respect the laws you bring here and we pass to you. In the development authorities bills, we said sources of funding, monies approved by Parliament, anticipating that every development authority will have an item budget, 100 million dedicated to coastal development. We don't see that. Go back and respect the very laws you have passed. So Coastal Development Authority, no dedicated financing of allocation, is lumped in a ministry called Special Development Initiative, Middle Belt Development. Where is their money? Therefore, again, you are not being sincere with the Ghanaian electorate in terms of your commitment to the creation of those bureaucracies for purpose of accelerating your poverty reduction agenda. During the consideration of the numerous and uncountable ministers, we said our worst fear was role conflict and duplication. We are vindicated with these numbers we are seeing. You see, a secretariat for one district, one factory doesn't want to relate to the Ministry for Trade and Industry. You have another minister somewhere, that one village, one down, doesn't want to relate to Ministry for Agriculture. This is what we caution. Therefore, President Akufo-Addo, downsize your government, do away with the ministries you do not think are necessary. Since you think Special Development Initiative can do water, they can do sanitation, they can do health, they can do education, then the other ministries we will help you to save the public purse.
But Majority Leader Osechieme Nsambonso disagrees, describing the ministry as an important one.
The issue raised by my colleague, the Minority Leader, about overlap of functions, I guess it's something that as a nation we should look at. We should look at. But, Mr. Speaker, it has been with us since our government, since independence. That's always been with us. Mr. Speaker, it has always been with us because no ministry is in any watertight compartment. There's no such. There's no such. So every now and then we have these overlaps. The important thing for us is to ensure that there is no duplication, and especially with the application of funds, there's no such duplication. But no particular ministry can assign to itself a particular unique test that I don't share any part of my territory with any other ministry. No such ministry exists. Article 35(6). Article 35(6) for the Constitution provides us with something that is very useful, and in particular 6G, that towards the achievement of the objectives stated in clause 5 of this article, the state shall take appropriate measures to make democracy a reality by decentralizing the administrative and financial machinery of government to the regions and districts, and by affording all possible opportunities to the people to participate in decision-making at every level in national life and in government. Mr. Speaker, this is a clear provision in the Constitution.
The minority in Parliament is accusing government of corruption over plans to build toilets and classroom blocks for constituencies under the One Constituency $1 million program. The budget for that was approved by Parliament on Wednesday. Minority spokesperson on finance Atu Forcing told the media outside Parliament House the figures have been inflated.
I'm so outraged today. I'm sad. I'm sad for a simple reason that the major economic policy, the flagship to this very government development agenda in the constituencies, is flowered with corruption. Completely. Corruption. No words can be used to describe it than to say it's corruption.
Why?
I say this simple because we were told, obviously, by the Vice President of the Republic that the $1 million per constituency, which amount to approximately 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, they are going to use it for the purposes of developing the constituency. And the policy directive is going to be a bottom-up strategy. Simple put, what it means is that the ordinary Ghanaian, the district is going to decide for me and you, and the district is going to apply back the money. But what we saw today is simple, that someone sitting at the Special Development Initiative Ministry is taking the decisions on our behalf. I'm a member of the Jumakun Enyan Isiam District Assembly. I would have expected that development of this nature should go to the District Assembly, and the Assembly would deliberate on it and decide how to use the money. But from what we are saying, I'll tell you how they are using the money. From what I'm saying here, the government has decided to construct water closet, toilet, 1,000 toilet around for the 275 constituencies at a cost of 187 million Ghana cedis, 1,000 toilets. They are going to procure ambulances for 275 constituencies, each ambulance in excess of 380 million Ghana cedis. At 380,000 Ghana cedis, each ambulance. This is nothing but corruption.
Prime Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Howard Kumsing, says the classrooms, for example, have been fitted with special gadgets, hence the high cost.
They are misleading members too. Why? Because they talked about the cost of a classroom block, which comes with the auxiliary facility and then ICT center. So you cannot compare this project with just a classroom block. That's why I'm worried about it. And they also talked about the water project. The water project is coming with solar panel to be powered with, and the toilet facility is also WC, and it will also be powered with solar panel. So such projects, you cannot just compare them with projects that were not used with solar and maybe quality pumps that we are actually assuring. So I'm worried about that, but I also want to assure Ghanaians that it's neither here or there. Whatever they are saying is not true. They are just throwing dust into the masses' eye, and we want them to know that we're going to make sure that value for money is being catered for in the Ministry of Special Development Initiatives. They also talked about the vehicles for the ministry. We all know the ministry is a new ministry altogether. I've been there for 1 year now. As a minister, I don't even have a vehicle for the official vehicle that I'm using. And the development authorities are also coming. There are 3 development authorities. They need vehicles. We are going to work in the various constituencies. We'll be going into the interlands, and we'll need maybe pickups to move around. So all this, we need them in the ministry and then at the development authorities. We are not also using the 1 million per the constituency for this office use. We actually have our goods and services that has been allocated for the office to be used.
This is Joy News Prime.
Well, the Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, has called on Ghanaians to boycott American and Israeli products if U.S. President Donald Trump refuses to rescind his decision to relocate the American embassy to Jerusalem. Mr. Trump's announcement of the planned relocation sparked protests in cities around the world, as well as in Palestine, where Palestinians are also laying claim to the city. Mr. Mubarak made the call when he joined members of a pressure group calling itself Palestinian Solidarity Campaign on a protest march to denounce the U.S. president's move. MF Nancy Dradozi reports.
Protesters numbering about 50 took to some principal streets of Accra to condemn U.S. President Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. MP for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, noted the demonstration was necessary as any form of violence that arises as a result of this will certainly have a toll on the country. According to him, the recognition by the U.S. president is a threat to peace across the world.
They are demonstrating, first of all, in solidarity with the people of Palestine who have been under slavery and the apartheid system for such a long time. We are expressing our unhappiness, our disquiet and displeasure about Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And we are of the view that a two-state solution is the way forward. What Donald Trump has done clearly would not bring about peace in Palestine, let alone the entire globe. Now, what we're going to do after this demonstration, if the situation doesn't improve, would be to boycott. As a matter of fact, I have already started. I used to have an American car. I no longer use American vehicles. I haven't been to the States in probably about 2 years now, and I'm encouraging all Ghanaians to begin the boycotts, because when the US of A is unhappy with any particular country, they impose sanctions. This is our way of imposing sanctions. This is our way of expressing our unhappiness. Every Ghanaian is encouraged. Any product that is from Israel, if you can, try as best as possible to boycott it as a way of expressing yourself.
Spokesperson for the group, Ibad Ibrahim, debunked claims the demonstration was religiously and politically motivated.
We are neutral, we aren't picking sides, but I believe in the whole of this, the oppressed party is the Palestinian side. That is why we believe that the United States of America, as a unipolar world superpower, should use its bully pulpit well, rather than declaring unilaterally that it is on the part of Israel. We are not anti-Semitic. Nobody is against the Jews. Nobody is against Israel. For us, this even is not a religious thing. It borders on human rights. So therefore, we call on the people of conscience to bring to bear the needed diplomatic pressure on Donald Trump to rescind his decision to move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, because declaring Jerusalem the capital of Israel will only exacerbate an already deplorable security condition in the region, and it could have overarching impact on world stability.
The atomic gas explosion left in Israel deaths, destruction and permanent scars on its victims. One of them is 31-year-old Eben Tete, whose back is covered with an infected sore, with another on his leg secreting offensive pus. The SHS dropout, who is unable to sleep on his back, says he discharged himself from a 37 military hospital where he was sent to following the incident in October because the health workers stopped attending to him. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba caught up with Eben, who says he is now counting on the benevolence of the public to support him get better medical care.
Screams of shock as Abraham lifted his blood-stained long-sleeve shirt to show us the severe burns on his back. In fact, his entire back is burns and now turned a field of degenerating sore. The black skin layer on his back is completely off, leaving a pink cover. Abraham had struggled for almost 10 minutes to lift the shirt because it was stuck to the pink skin. At a point, he asked me if I could smell him when I got closer. That is not the only part of his body affected by the explosion. His legs rest on the floor as a thick yellowish liquid continuously drips from them. He sits on a bench as he narrates to me how he fell from the top of the atomic overhead bridge.
The interchange. Yeah, I saw a journalist there who was taking a shot. So I just went to him and I was standing by him looking at the fire. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the second tank exploded. And in fact, you could see the fire with no smoke, but you could see it like a sunshine. It's more than a sunshine. Oman FM journalist. So we lied. I
think that guy died.
Yes. We lied on the floor. One side, the fire is at one side. So we just jumped off.
From the top of the overhead?
Yeah. We jumped. I fell backwards. From there, I couldn't see anything. Oh, I can't, because it's very stuck to the wound. And unless you get some water.
That is Abraham responding to me when I asked him to remove the bandana covering his head. The bandana is stuck to the injuries on his head. He said he usually applies water to it before he's able to remove it. Abraham says he was not satisfied with the treatment given him at the 37 military hospital so had to leave to seek better help elsewhere. But as it appears, Abraham is worse off.
It's almost like half hell. So I decided to me myself that I will run away and go and look for help. I would say on my 2 weeks there, that time where I see you, that's where the vice president came. Yeah. He came telling us that the government is in support, and so they'll make sure everything. But as to what he said and to what I'm seeing there, I felt that yeah, the government is in control. But the moment I came to Allied, and I felt that no, the government is not in control at that place. Because your medicine will get finished, you will ask, and what they'll be telling you is the government is not providing anything, the government is not providing no money, blah, blah, blah. I don't see myself as a human. Yeah, because as I'm sitting like that, I'm smelling. I don't know if you're feeling it. No, I'm not feeling it. Yeah, but I'm smelling very bad. Yeah.
After the explosion at the atomic junction, Tete and his friends were evacuated from that area where they previously lived. Well, after he left the 37 Military Hospital a week ago, this is where he stays now, in this uncompleted structure owned by the State Housing Company Limited. He sleeps on the first floor here because he cannot get access to his home any longer. I think there's a cardboard. Oh. I'm currently on the first floor where 32-year-old Tete now sleeps. These are the cardboards that he usually lays his head on, the hard concrete floor. You can still see the bread here, and then some a mosquito coil also, and then another cardboard, and then a soap that he talked to me about earlier that he uses to take his shower. The life of the 31-year-old is now on the brink. He is not and may never be the same after this experience, he says. Maxwell Agbagba, Joy News.
4 journalists from the multimedia group picked up 6 awards at the 22nd Ghana Journalists Association Awards ceremony held in Accra on Wednesday. The event saw veteran broadcaster with Peace FM, Kwame Sefakan, winning the overall Journalist of the Year award. He gets, among others, a 3-bedroom house worth 60,000 cedis as part of what the GJA says is an initiative to get all journalists owning a home. GJA President Afil Moni says the project, dubbed One Journalist, One House, is just one of a number of initiatives the association is embarking on to improve the lot of Ghanaian journalists. Komladom was there and has come through with this report.
Features television, and this goes to Mr. Kwame Boateng of Joy TV. Round of applause, please. And the story is Left to Rot. Thank you very much.
Best journalist sports broadcast category, Benedict Owusu, Joy FM.
Another year, another set of awards for the Joy News team.
So at the 22nd edition of the Ghana Journalists Association Awards, which was held at the banquet hall of the State House on Wednesday, the multimedia group won big, and Joy News' Seth Kwame Boateng's Left to Rot won the best TV feature, while Latif Idris's Herbs from God feature was adjudged the best reports for anti-narcotics, and also he was also recognized for his efforts in championing the fight against galamsey. I have to also add that Latif Idris won an award for the best environment report. Also from the multimedia stock was My Joy Online's David Ando, who won the best photojournalist of the year. Enjoy Sports Benedict Owusu's documentary, which detailed the discrimination suffered by the female national teams at the hands of football administrators in the country, won him the Best Journalist Award in Sports for the broadcast category at the 22nd edition of the Ghana Journalists Association Awards here in Accra. Over 35 journalists and media houses took home awards for their roles in championing what organizers describe as quality professional journalism. Despite the challenges journalists are confronted with in their line of duty, many of them continue to brave the odds, stick their heads out to tell compelling stories that impact lives.
Next, it's environment, and the award goes to Latif Ijusu of Joy News, and the title was Ending the Galamsey Menace.
Chairperson of this year's awards scheme, Dr. Doris Dati, agrees the quality of journalism practice has improved over the years, but advocates more emphasis must be laid on stories that impact lives of the rural poor and the voiceless.
So for me, journalism in Ghana shouldn't be like journalism in America, journalism in the UK or Germany. Journalism in Ghana should be very focused on the development, the state of our country, so that we push for more development.
But how did her committee come up with awardees this year within 3 weeks of scrutiny?
GJ received 325 entries from a number of categories, and we had 10-point criteria like clarity, impactfulness, relevance, correctness, and a number of 10 of them. For each entry, we judged that entry along those 10-point criteria.
President of the Ghana Journalists Association announced improved conditions of service for journalists will be high on the agenda of the association in the coming year, including a strategy to get one journalist to own a house, codenamed One Journalist, One House.
The Prize House will be located in the specially designed GJ Media Village to be located near Isawum. The concept of the Media Village is a colossal testament of our flagship welfare policy, one journalist, one house.
Some journalists, he adds, will undergo intensive training programs to build their capacity in their chosen fields. Koans Estates Limited, title sponsor for this year's awards, wants the 200,000 cedi prize house to motivate journalists to do more.
Here at the Banquet Hall of the State House, they just ended Ghana Journalists Association Awards, where my colleague Latif Idris picked up a couple of awards, and I also have to my right TV3's Portia Gabo. She was just awarded the Most Promising Journalist Award, and to my extreme right, I have Seth Bokwe of the Daily Graphic. First of all, Latif, to you as a journalist and working with the multimedia group for
it means being a more responsible journalist, doing more groundbreaking stuff, going the extra mile, and it adds more color to the multimedia group as a media house and to my personal self as a practicing journalist.
I'll come back to you for that Helps from God story. But Portia, thank you for joining us. Congratulations once again. What does this mean to you as a journalist of many years of practice, I have to say?
Well, it has really humbled me.
You've been winning awards year in, year out. You must be an excited man.
Of course I am. I mean, it's just another form of motivation to give your best. Well, in any case, when you are doing your stories, you are doing it to affect society positively. So when the rewards come in, you take it in good stride and do more.
Other awards were handed over to deserving journalists and media houses for various roles in championing development and also the fight against Galamsey. Peace FM's morning show host Kwame Sefakai, who was adjudged overall journalist of the year, could not hide his gratitude. Other awardees included City FM, Daily Graphic, GH1 Television, TV Africa, Daily Guide, The Informer newspaper, TV3, among others.
So to my wife, who everybody calls Barbara, some call her Raja, but I prefer to call Raj. She's been there through the years, thick, thin.
And congratulations to all the award winners. But of particular mention, I'd like to mention Idris Latif, who actually is part of the production team on Joy News Prime. We say congratulations to you, special congratulations. And you won big, your first time, and you picked 3 awards on the night. To Seth Kwame Boateng and David Ando, as well as Benedict Owusu, who are not new to these awards. We also say congratulations to them. We're taking a break. And in the headlines, a 4th suspect in the Bantama sexual assault case has been arrested. 3 of his accomplices appeared before court today. Organizers of Expert Trade Business Awards have rubbished accusations they offered seats close to President Akufo-Addo at an award ceremony for up to $100,000. They have contradicted an account by the Deputy Trades Minister regarding some monies paid by the businesses involved in the program. The Trades Minister has meanwhile been summoned to the Flagstaff House over the controversy. Cape Coast South MP Kweku Rikitagan has declared his intention to contest the flag bearership of the opposition National Democratic Congress for the 2020 elections. In business, the Ministry of Energy has assured LPG marketers implementation of the new cylinder gas recirculation program will run concurrently with the older system for some time before it is finally phased out.